In the silent void of Sector 9, Commander Czar expected an easy victory. 50 warships of the Vorath Empire surrounded a single vessel, an ugly brick-shaped relic that looked like it was built from scrap metal. No shields, no elegance, just 3 meters of raw titanium plating. Czar laughed and demanded surrender, but when his scanners peeled back the layers, the laughter died in his throat. The crew inside weren't just soldiers. They were apex predators from a Class 5 death world, a planet so hostile that every breath was a battle for survival. Their bones heal stronger after breaking. Their bodies flood with combat chemicals that turn pain into fuel. And their history, 10,000 years of uninterrupted warfare. 70 million dead in a single conflict. Cities vaporized by atom bombs. When one eager Vorath captain fired a warning shot, the human response was surgical, terrifying, and instantaneous. In 3 minutes, 15 attack ships lay crippled in space. Not destroyed, disabled. The humans could have killed everyone, but they chose mercy. Now Commander Czar faces an impossible truth. He's not the hunter, he's the prey. Sector 9 was a quiet place in the galaxy. It was far away from the busy trade routes and bright nebulas. Here the stars looked like tiny cold diamonds scattered on black velvet. The silence of deep space was heavy and old, but today that silence was broken. Space rippled and twisted. Suddenly a massive fleet appeared from hyperspace. They were the Vorath Empire. There were 50 ships in total. The Vorath ships were beautiful and terrifying. They were shaped like long purple needles. They had smooth curves and glowing green lights. They looked like elegant predators swimming in a dark ocean. The Vorath were proud. They were the strongest empire in this region. They had never lost a battle. On the bridge of the flagship, Commander Czar stood tall. He was a Vorath with gray skin and 4 black eyes. He wore a uniform with golden medals. He looked at the main view screen with boredom. He expected to see nothing but empty space. "Report," Czar ordered. His voice was deep and rough like grinding stones. "Sensors are clear, Commander," a junior officer said. "Wait, no, there is one contact." Czar leaned forward. "A ship." "Yes, Commander, one single ship. It is drifting near the dead moon ahead." "Show me," Czar commanded. The screen zoomed in. Czar frowned. He expected to see a pirate ship or a trader, but he saw something very ugly. The ship was not smooth. It was a blocky gray shape. It looked like a brick made of thick metal plates. It had no elegant wings. It had no glowing energy sails. It looked like a factory that had been thrown into space. It was covered in scars and scratches. Czar laughed, a cruel, sharp sound. "Look at that piece of junk. It looks like it was built by children hitting rocks together. Hail them. Tell them this is Vorath territory. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed." On the gray ship, the atmosphere was very different. This was the Earth warship UNS Aegis. Inside, the air was cool and the lights were dim. There was no panic. There was only focus. Captain Minu Park sat in the command chair. He was a human male with sharp eyes and calm hands. He looked at the tactical map. He saw the 50 purple dots surrounding his ship. "They are hailing us, Captain," said Hyjin Song, the tactical officer. She did not look at him. Her fingers flew across her keyboard. "They demand our surrender." Minu Park took a slow breath. He did not look scared. He looked like a man playing a game of chess. "Do not reply yet," he said softly. "Let them wait. Let them get close." From the science station, Science Officer Tiong Kim spoke up. "Captain, they are initiating a deep active scan, high-frequency bands. They are trying to see what we are made of." Minu nodded. A small, cold smile touched his lips. "Good, drop the electronic countermeasures. Let them see. Let them take a good, long look." Back on the Vorath flagship, the mood began to change. The junior officer was staring at his console. His 4 eyes were blinking rapidly. His gray skin started to turn a pale white color. "Commander," the officer said, his voice was shaking. "What is it?" Czar snapped. "Why are they not answering?" "Sir, the scan results are coming in. This data. It must be an error." "What is wrong?" "The ship," the officer pointed a trembling finger at the screen. "It has no energy shields." Czar scoffed. "Pathetic. One shot will kill them." "No, sir. You do not understand. They don't have shields because they don't need them. Look at the hull. It is not standard alloy. It is layers of high-density titanium and ceramic composites. It is 3 meters thick, sir. That ship is basically a solid mountain of metal." Czar paused. "That is heavy. How do they move?" "I checked their engines," the officer said, swallowing hard. "They don't use clean antimatter. They use fission, nuclear fission." "Nuclear," Czar was disgusted. "That is primitive. That is dirty radiation. They are riding a controlled explosion." "It gets worse, Commander. Look at their weapons." Czar looked at the data. He saw long tubes on the human ship. "Projectile launchers. They throw rocks." "Not rocks, sir. They use magnetic rails to fire solid tungsten slugs. The computer has calculated the muzzle velocity. It is a fraction of light speed." The bridge went silent. Czar felt a cold chill run down his spine. He knew physics. A solid piece of metal moving that fast was not just a bullet. It was a catastrophe. "If that hits our shields," Czar whispered, "it will punch through instantly," the officer confirmed. "The kinetic energy alone will shatter our hull like glass. One shot is all they need." Czar looked at the ugly gray brick on the screen. It didn't look funny anymore. It looked like a sleeping beast. Who are they? Scan the life forms. The officer ran the bioscan. An image of a human appeared on the screen. Soft skin, no claws, no shell, the officer read. But sir, their internal biology, it is terrifying. Why? Their adrenaline levels are rising, but their heart rates are steady. They are not scared, they are preparing, and their home world. The computer identified the chemical traces on their hull. The officer looked at Czar with pure horror in his eyes. Sir, they come from a Class 12 death world. High gravity, unstable weather. Their air is full of nitrogen and oxygen, but also bacteria and viruses. They breathe poison every second of their lives and they survive. They are not prey, Commander. They are persistence predators. Suddenly, the communications panel beeped. A text-only message appeared from the human ship. It was translated into Vorath script. We see you scanning US. We hope you like what you see. Now get off our lawn. Czar stared at the message. The ugly gray ship began to turn. Its massive railguns aligned perfectly with the Vorath flagship. The humans were not trapped. The Vorath were the ones in danger. Commander Czar stared at the scan results on his screen. His purple skin turned pale. The human warship was not just primitive, it was something much worse. Look at this, his science officer said. Her voice shook. The ship has 3 separate power cores. If one dies, the other 2 keep working. Czar leaned closer. 3, that is wasteful. That is not all, Commander. She pointed at the data. Every critical system has a backup. Some have 2 backups. The communications array can lose 70% of its parts and still work. Czar felt cold. Vorath ships were elegant, beautiful, efficient. They had 1 perfect power core, 1 perfect shield generator, 1 perfect engine array. If you destroyed the right part, a Vorath ship died quickly and cleanly. But this human ship, it refused to die. Show me the weapons again, Czar commanded. Tactical officer brought up the weapon systems. Commander, these kinetic accelerators are barbaric. They fire solid metal slugs, but look at the velocity readings. The numbers made no sense. The slugs moved at 15% of light speed. That is impossible, Czar said. The energy required, they use chemical explosives to start the acceleration, the officer explained. Then magnetic rails finish the job. It is crude, simple, but effective. Czar did the calculations in his head. Metal slug at that speed would punch through Vorath shields like they were not even there. The slug would tear through their hull. It would exit the other side. The ship would have a hole straight through it. How many of these weapons does the human ship have? Czar asked. 42 primary cannons, 106-point defense guns, 38 missile tubes. The officer paused. And Commander, the missiles are nuclear. Czar's legs felt weak. Nuclear, they put nuclear weapons on their ships. Yes, Commander. Fission warheads, primitive but powerful. Another officer spoke up. Commander, look at the hull armor. 3 meters of titanium and ceramic composite. No shields at all. They just take the hits. Czar pulled up the armor specifications. His heart sank. Vorath weapons were designed to overload shields, then slice through thin hulls with precision. But 3 meters of solid armor, their lasers would take minutes to cut through. Minutes where those kinetic weapons would be firing back. There is more, the science officer said quietly. I analyzed the ship's internal structure. It has multiple redundant bulkheads, separate atmosphere systems for each section. If you breach the hull, only that section loses air. The rest of the ship keeps fighting. What kind of species builds like this? Czar whispered. A species that expects to be hurt, another officer answered. A species that plans to keep fighting even when dying. Czar looked at the human ship on his view screen. It hung in space, silent and ugly, but now he saw it differently. This was not a ship. This was a weapon designed by creatures who understood war at a deep, terrible level. They built this ship assuming it would be damaged, Czar said slowly. They built it to survive damage that would kill any of our ships 3 times over. Yes, Commander, Czar made a decision. Scan their biological databases. Find everything you can about Earth and its people. I need to know what kind of creatures build machines like this. He stared at the human warship. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Czar felt real fear. Commander Czar stood on the command deck of the Vorath flagship. The purple lighting of the bridge usually made him feel calm and powerful. Today, it felt like a cage. He stared at the main view screen. In the center of the display floated the Earth warship. It was ugly. It was a block of gray metal without elegance or grace. It looked like a brick thrown through a glass window. Commander, the chief science officer called out. His voice was trembling. The biological analysis is complete. Czar turned to the science station. Show me, who are these creatures? Why do they build ships with no shields? The science officer projected a hologram into the air. It showed a rotating red image of a human male. We have made a grave error in judgment, Commander. We assumed they were primitive because their technology is loud and dirty. But we did not look at the origins of the species. They come from a planet they call Earth. Earth, Czar asked. It is a Class 5 death world, the officer replied, his tentacles twitching with nervousness. The gravity is 1.5 times stronger than our standard. The atmospheric pressure varies wildly. The temperature swings from freezing ice to burning heat within a single solar cycle. The planet is infested with billions of deadly bacteria, viruses, and microscopic parasites. Every breath they take is a battle for survival. They evolved in a hellscape. Zar looked at the red figure. So they are tough. Many species are tough. Not like this, the officer said, zooming in on the hologram. Look at their internal systems. They have a biological defense network called an immune system. It is a swarm of killer cells inside their blood. It constantly hunts down intruders. If we were to step on their ship, the air alone would kill us in minutes, but they thrive in it. The hologram changed to show a specific crew member. This is their leader, Captain Minu Park. Look at his skeletal structure. Zar leaned closer. He saw white lines across the arm bones. He is damaged. No, the officer whispered. He was broken. These are old fractures. In our society, a broken bone is a death sentence. We cannot repair structural integrity once lost. But humans, their bodies produce a cement-like material. They glue their own bones back together. The healed spot is often stronger than the original bone. They are designed to break and rebuild. The image shifted to a female. This is engineer Soo-hyun Choi. Her medical history shows she lost 20% of her liver in an accident years ago. It grew back. Commander, they can regenerate non-vital organs. They can survive blood loss that would drain a Vorath dry. They function with injuries that should be fatal. They are hard to kill, Zar muttered. A cold feeling settled in his stomach. It is worse, the science officer said. He tapped a key and the hologram turned a violent orange color. They have a combat mode. Explain, Zar ordered. When they detect danger, a gland releases a chemical poison called adrenaline directly into their bloodstream. For most species, this chemical is a toxin that causes heart failure. For humans, it is fuel. It blocks pain receptors. It forces the heart to pump at dangerous speeds. It makes their muscles contract with enough force to snap their own tendons. They become faster, stronger, and hyper-focused. The officer pointed to another crew member. This is Tactical Officer Hyejin Song. Her current bio readings show she is suppressing this state. She is holding it back, but if she lets go, she will ignore pain. You could shoot off her arm, and she would likely keep shooting back until she bled out. They do not stop when injured. They fight harder. Zar looked back at the ugly ship on the screen. It didn't look like a brick anymore. It looked like a fortress. They are biological weapons. There is one final thing, the science officer said softly. The most terrifying thing. Tell me. We analyzed their muscle fibers and cooling systems. Look at Science Officer Tiong Kim. He has millions of tiny holes in his skin to release water. He has massive lung capacity. These are not adaptations for fighting. They are adaptations for running. They run away, Zar asked, hopeful. No, Commander, they run toward. They are persistence predators. On their death world, they did not kill prey with claws or venom. They chased it. They ran for hours, sometimes days, under a burning sun. The prey would run fast, then stop to rest. The humans never stopped. They just kept jogging. They tracked the animal until it collapsed from exhaustion and heat stroke. Then they killed it. The bridge fell silent. The crew looked at the screen with horror. They realized the truth. Humans were not soldiers. They were monsters who hunted things until they died of fear and tiredness. They are not primitive, Zar whispered, his hands shaking as he gripped the rail. They built a ship with thick armor and redundant systems because they expect to get hit, they expect to bleed, and they know they will survive it. Commander, the weapons officer called out. Her voice was high and frightened. The human ship is still not responding to our surrender demand. They are just drifting, watching us. Zar imagined the creatures inside that metal shell. He imagined Minu Park, the man with the broken bones. He imagined the adrenaline pumping through their veins, waiting to be unleashed. He imagined a hunter staring at a rabbit, waiting for it to make a move. They are waiting for us to start running, Zar realized. So they can chase. Should we fire? The weapons officer asked. Zar couldn't answer. He stared at the silence of the void. He knew that if he fired, he wouldn't just be starting a battle. He would be starting a hunt, and he was the prey. On the bridge of the Earth warship, the lights were dim. Captain Minu Park sat comfortably in his chair. He watched the alien fleet hover in confusion. He took a sip of his coffee. His heart rate was slow, steady. He looked at his tactical officer, then back at the screen. He smiled, a small, predatory baring of teeth. Wait, Minu said softly. Commander Zar looked at the ugly, brick-shaped ship on his screen. It sat silently in the dark space. His heart beat fast. The biology report said humans were monsters who could run forever and heal from broken bones. But Zar needed to know more. He needed to know their mind. Open their history database, Zar ordered. His voice shook a little. Show me their past. We must know what kind of species we are facing. The data officer, a young Vorath with trembling hands, tapped the console. The screen changed. It showed a timeline of Earth. It was a long line of time, thousands of years long. Zar expected to see art, music, or building. He expected to see peace. He saw red. The timeline was covered in red marks. Each red mark was a war. This cannot be right, the data officer whispered. Computer, filter for major conflicts only. The screen did not change much. The red marks were still everywhere. There were wars in every century. There were wars on every continent. Humans fought over land. They fought over gods. They fought over resources. They fought just because they could. Zoom in, Tsar said. Look at the last 200 years. The screen showed two massive red blocks. Sector 1, the computer voice read. Earth Global Conflict 1. Date 1914 to 1918. Casualties 17 million dead. The bridge of the Vorath ship went silent. 17 million. That was the population of 3 Vorath colonies. Sector 2, the computer continued. Earth Global Conflict 2. Date 1939 to 1945. Casualties 70 million dead. Tsar grabbed the edge of his console. 70 million in just 6 years, and they did this to themselves. They killed 70 million of their own kind, Tsar asked. And they did not go extinct. No, Commander, the data officer said. They grew stronger. Look at the technology spike. The screen showed a terrifying image. It was a mushroom cloud of fire and smoke rising into the sky. The atom split, the computer read. Year 1945. Humans discovered how to split the atom. They did not use it for energy first. They used it to make a bomb. They burned 2 cities to ash in seconds. The Vorath officers stared in horror. When the Vorath discovered atomic energy, they built power plants. Humans built bombs. After that, the data officer said, reading rapidly, they built thousands more. For 40 years, 2 great nations pointed these world-ending weapons at each other. They called it the Cold War. They stood on the edge of destruction every day, just waiting for a reason to fire. Tsar felt sick. This species was insane. They lived with a gun to their own head for decades. The data scrolled faster now. It showed ancient wars with swords and metal spears. It showed medieval wars with castles and sieges. It showed modern wars with tanks, jets, and guided missiles. Every war made them better at killing. They built schools, military academies, just to teach the science of war. They wrote books about strategy thousands of years ago. They kept detailed records of every battle so they could learn how to destroy their enemies faster next time. They survived plagues, the data officer read, his eyes wide. Bacteria killed millions. They survived. Ice ages froze their lands. They survived. Earthquakes, storms, famines, they survived it all. Through every disaster, they never stopped fighting each other. Commander Tsar looked back at the main view screen. The Earth ship, the UNSS Seoul, floated there calmly. Suddenly, Tsar understood. He looked at his crew. Do you understand? Tsar asked softly. We thought they were primitive because their ship looks like a brick, but we were wrong. They are not primitive. They are specialized. Specialized in what? An officer asked. In war, Tsar said. It is their culture. It is their history. It is their nature. He thought about the crew on that human ship. Captain Minyu Park, Tactical Officer Hyejin Song, Science Officer Tiong Kim, Engineer Soohyun Choi, Pilot Jiwon Yoon. They were not just explorers, they were soldiers. They were military professionals from a race that had been killing each other for 10,000 years. They were volunteers who chose this life. Panic began to spread on the Vorath bridge. Commander, we should leave, the navigation officer said. We should jump to hyperspace now. Maybe we can talk to them, the comm officer suggested. Maybe we can apologize. Have we already made them angry? Another officer asked. We threatened them. We insulted their ship. We told them to surrender. The room was full of fear. The elegant purple Vorath ship suddenly felt very fragile. They were artists and diplomats who fought only when necessary. They were staring at a ship full of apex predators who fought because it was Tuesday. Diplomacy might be too late, Tsar said. He looked at the timer. We have been threatening them for 1 hour. He stared at the human warship. It had not moved. It had not fired. It just waited. Why haven't they fired? The data officer asked. Their kinetic weapons could punch through our shields instantly. Their nuclear missiles could turn us to dust. Why do they wait? Tsar felt a cold chill run down his spine. He realized the truth. Restraint, Tsar whispered. Restraint, Commander. Yes, Tsar said. They know they can destroy us. They know exactly how to kill us, but they are holding back. They are showing restraint. It was the most terrifying thing of all. A wild beast attacks because it is hungry. A soldier waits because he has orders. They could have fired already, Tsar said, his voice trembling. They are choosing not to. Why? On the bridge of the human ship, the atmosphere was calm. The lights were dim. Captain Minyu Park sat in his chair, watching the alien fleet on the main screen. He took a sip of lukewarm coffee. His face was like stone. Pilot Jiwon Yoon turned in her chair. She looked at the captain. Captain, she asked quietly. Are they going to run? Minyu Park set his coffee down. He saw the slight movement of the alien ships, the hesitation in their formation. He knew exactly what they were thinking. He had studied war his whole life. He knew the look of fear. Not yet, Minyu said softly. But they will. Commander Tsar took a deep breath. His hands were shaking. He looked at his communication officer. Open a channel, he said, to the Earth ship. The officer nodded. The screen flickered. A face appeared. It was Captain Minyu Park. He sat in a simple command chair. He wore a dark gray uniform. He was not angry. He was not scared. He was calm. It was a terrifying kind of calm. His face showed zero emotion. He just watched Tsar. This is Commander Tsar of the Vorath Empire, Tsar said. His voice cracked slightly. He cleared his throat. He tried to sound strong. We may have started our meeting badly. Perhaps we can discuss this peacefully. Minyu leaned forward slightly, just a little bit. You demanded we surrender, Minyu said. His voice was very quiet. You threatened to destroy my ship, you threatened my crew, and now you want to talk? Yes, Tsar said quickly. Sweat ran down his neck. We made a mistake. We did not understand. You understood enough, Minyu interrupted him. The human captain's eyes were cold. You scanned my ship. You scanned my people, you know what we are now. He paused for a long moment. So tell me, Commander, why are you still here? On Tsar's bridge, the tension was heavy. The air felt thick. Suddenly, one of his officers hissed loudly. It was Sub-Commander Vok. Commander, we cannot show weakness. We are Vorath. We should attack now before they— Silence, Tsar snapped. He turned to glare at Vok, but the damage was done. Minyu heard everything. The microphone picked it up. The human captain's eyes narrowed. You have officers who want to fight, he said. It was not a question, it was a statement of fact. They are concerned, Tsar admitted. He looked back at the screen. 50 ships against one. Some of my crew believe we should. Should what? A female voice spoke up. It was Tactical Officer Hyojin's song on the human bridge. She stepped into the frame. She smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was a predator's smile. Please finish that sentence, Commander. Science Officer Tiong Kim looked at his console. He spoke clearly. Captain, their weapons are charging. 3 ships in the back row, Sector 4. Minyu did not look away from Tsar. His eyes stayed locked on the alien commander. Commander, I suggest you control your people, right now. Tsar turned to his fleet channel. He shouted, all ships power down weapons immediately. That is an order. But he saw the readings on his own screen. 3 ships were not listening. Their weapons kept charging. They were letting their pride control them. One ship, the Glorious Talon, moved forward. Its captain was young. He was scared, but he was also proud. He did not want to look weak in front of the Empire. He wanted to prove he was brave. Glorious Talon, stand down, Tsar shouted into the comms. Do not, the alien ship fired. It was a plasma bolt, bright green energy. It did not hit the human warship. It flew just above it. A warning shot, a show of strength, a stupid mistake. On the human bridge, Hyojin reacted instantly. Her hands hovered over her board. Weapons free. Minyu's response was one word, short, sharp, yes. The human warship did not move. It did not turn, but something happened. Fast, too fast for the eye to see. A single kinetic round fired from the main railgun of the human ship. It was a solid slug of metal. It moved at 15% of the speed of light. It crossed the empty space in less than a second. The round hit the Glorious Talon, but it did not hit the hull. It did not hit the bridge. It hit the weapons array on the top of the ship. Only the weapons array. The explosion was small. It was precise. It was surgical. The alien ship stopped moving. Its shields were still up. The kinetic round had gone through the shields like they were made of paper. It ignored them completely. It destroyed only the weapon systems. The rest of the ship was fine. Impossible, Tsar whispered. He stared at his sensor readings. That accuracy, at that speed. Engineer Suhyun-choi spoke on the human bridge. Her voice was professional. Target neutralized. All weapons online and ready, Captain. Shall I target the rest of their fleet? I have firing solutions for all 49 remaining ships. Not yet, Minyu said. He looked at Tsar through the screen again. The silence was absolute. Commander, Minyu said, we just removed one ship's weapons. We did not kill anyone. Do you understand what that means? Tsar understood. His blood ran cold. His heart beat fast in his chest. The humans could have destroyed the Glorious Talon completely. They could have turned it into dust. They could have killed everyone on board instantly. But they did not. They chose not to. They showed mercy. And in showing mercy, they proved how deadly they truly were. A beast that kills is scary. A beast that chooses when to kill is terrifying. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in the time it took your captain to fire that shot, Minyu continued. His voice was still quiet, still calm. We chose not to. We are choosing not to right now. He leaned back in his chair. He looked like a king on a throne. You have one chance, Commander Tsar. Leave now, all of you. Go back to your empire. Tell them what you learned here today. Pilot Ji-Won-Yoon added from the helm, or stay, and find out why Earth builds ships like this. The choice was clear. The terror was real. The Vorath fleet hung in space, silent and afraid. Tsar must decide. Commander Tsar gives the order to retreat. His voice is shaking. He knows they made a terrible mistake, but not everyone listens. Sub-Commander Vok screams over the fleet channel. No, we are Vorath. We do not run from primitives. 12 other ship commanders agree with him. Fear and pride mix together in their minds. They cannot accept that they are wrong. 15 Vorath ships break formation. Their weapons glow with power. They charge toward the human warship. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Minyu Park watches them come. His face shows no emotion. All stations, combat mode, he says quietly. The transformation is instant. The ugly metal brick that floated in space suddenly moves. It turns with speed that should be impossible for something so large. The engines roar to life. Blue flame shoots from the back of the ship. Tactical Officer Hyojin Song's fingers fly across her controls. Targeting solutions locked. All 15 ships. Her voice is calm. She could be reading a shopping list. Fire at will, Minyu says. Disable only, no kills. Understood, Hyojin replies. The first railgun shot screams through space at 15% of light speed. It hits the lead ship Vok's vessel right in the engine core. The shot goes through the shields like they are made of paper. The engine explodes. The ship spins out of control but stays in one piece. Vok and his crew are alive, just helpless. 2 seconds later, 3 more shots fire. 3 more ships lose their engines. They drift in space, powerless. The Voreth ships fire back. Plasma bolts and energy beams light up the darkness. They hit the human ship's armor. The metal glows red hot, but the armor holds. 3 meters of solid titanium and ceramic take the hits without breaking. Pilot Ji-Won-yoon moves the ship like it weighs nothing. She dodges 2 missiles. Her hands move so fast they blur. The ship rolls, dives, and spins. The attacking Voreth cannot keep up. Point defense online, engineer Soo-hyun Choi says. Small guns all over the human ship start firing. They shoot thousands of small bullets every second. Every missile the Voreth fire gets destroyed before it can hit. The human ship is surrounded by tiny explosions. Science officer Teong Kim monitors the alien ships. The remaining 11 ships are spreading out. They are trying to surround us. Let them, Min-yu says. His voice is cold as ice. More railgun shots fire. The human weapons do not miss, ever. Each shot hits exactly where it is aimed. One shot takes out a weapons array. Another destroys a shield generator. Another hits a command antenna. The Voreth ships fall apart piece by piece, but the crew sections stay untouched. Not one alien dies. Inside the attacking Voreth ships, panic spreads. Their sensors show something impossible. The human ship is fighting 15 ships at once, and winning, easily. Their targeting computer is too fast, one alien captain screams. Nothing can aim that perfectly, but it is not just a computer. It is Hyejin Song, a human, a soldier from Earth. She was trained since she was young. She has fought in real wars, not training exercises. Real battles where people die. She knows how to kill. She also knows how to not kill. Both skills take the same amount of training. The human ship fires missiles now, but these are different from normal missiles. They do not explode on impact. They punch through shields and armor, then release electromagnetic pulses inside the enemy ships. Systems shut down, lights go dark, the Voreth ships become floating coffins, dark, cold, and dead, but the crews are alive. 3 minutes after the battle started, all 15 attacking ships are disabled. They float in space like broken toys. Emergency lights blink inside them. The crews are alive but terrified. Commander Zar watches from his ship. His hands shake. His mind cannot accept what he sees. 15 ships, the best ships in the Voreth fleet, destroyed in 3 minutes, and the human ship has no real damage, just some burn marks on the armor. The human ship stops moving. It floats in the center of the disabled Voreth vessels, silent, waiting. Captain Min-yu Park's voice comes over the fleet channel again. Every Voreth ship hears it. You have seen what we can do, he says. His voice is quiet, but everyone hears every word. We did not kill anyone today. We chose not to. Do you understand? Silence. Your species has lived in peace for 10,000 years, Min-yu continues. You forgot what real war looks like. My species has fought wars for 10,000 years. We never forgot. We never stopped training. We built ships like this because we know what combat really means. Min-yu pauses. Then he says the words that will haunt the Voreth forever. We could have killed all of you in 30 seconds, every ship. Every crew member, all dead. We have the weapons, we have the skill. We have done it before to our own kind, but we chose mercy. Remember that. Remember that humans showed you mercy when you showed us only threats. On Zar's ship, the crew sits frozen. They understand now. The humans are not primitives. They are apex predators who chose to be civilized, but they never forgot how to hunt. Leave now, Min-yu says. Take your damaged ships, repair them, go home, and never threaten Earth again. This is your only warning. Commander Zar does not hesitate. All ships, he says, his voice hoarse. Retreat full speed. Now. The remaining Voreth ships turn and run. They take the disabled vessels with them using tractor beams. They flee like prey animals running from a tiger. The human warship watches them go. Captain Min-yu Park sits in his command chair. Ji-Won asks quietly, should we have just destroyed them, showed them real power? Min-yu shakes his head. We did show them real power. We showed them control. Any species can kill. Only the truly strong can choose not to kill. That is what terrifies them most. The human ship turns slowly and continues its patrol route. Behind it, the Voreth fleet runs away into the darkness. They will remember this day forever. The day they scanned an Earth warship and learned what humanity really is. Predators who chose mercy. Warriors who wanted peace, but warriors nonetheless. Commander Zar stood in the center of the Great Hall. The room was large and cold. Tall stone pillars reached up to the dark ceiling. Around him, the Voreth High Council sat on high chairs. They wore long purple robes. These were the oldest and most powerful leaders of the Voreth Empire. Zar felt small, but his voice was steady. He told them everything. He spoke about the scan in Sector 9. He described the ugly human ship that looked like a brick. He explained the terrifying biology report. He told them about the triple redundancy and the kinetic weapons. Finally, he played the video of the battle. The council watched in silence. The room was very quiet. On the large screen, they saw 15 proud Voreth warships attack one human vessel. Then they saw the result. It took only 3 minutes. The human ship moved with impossible speed. Its weapons fired with perfect accuracy. It disabled every single Vorath ship. It did not destroy them, it just stopped them. The video ended. The High Counselors looked at each other. They were shocked. They had never seen such precision. They had never seen such mercy. They realized that Tsar was right. They had found something truly terrifying in the dark of space. High Counselor Vraxt leaned forward. His face was old and lined with worry. "What do they want, Commander?" he asked. His voice echoed in the big room. Tsar looked him in the eye. "They want to be left alone, High Counselor. They want peace." Vraxt nodded slowly. He understood. If they wanted war, we would already be dead. The Council made a decision that day. They sent a warning to all Vorath fleets. The order was simple: do not fight humans, do not provoke them. The Vorath Empire would never attack a human ship again. Scene 2, the story spreads, news travels fast in the galaxy. The story of the battle in Sector 9 did not stay secret. It moved from star system to star system. It jumped from planet to planet. In the busy markets of Kalvar, traders whispered about it. "Did you hear?" they asked. One ship stopped 15, one ship. The Kalvari merchants were scared. They wondered if their trade routes were safe. In the quiet embassies of Thesha, diplomats discussed the report. They looked at the data with wide eyes. "They are from a Class 5 death world," one diplomat said. "How did they survive? How did they build starships?" They realized that humans were not like other species. Humans were survivors. Korath warriors were different. They did not whisper. They studied the battle recordings openly. They watched how the human ship moved. They saw the kinetic slugs hit the shields. They respected strength, and they saw true strength in the humans. "Look at the targeting," a Korath general said. "They hit only the weapons. They spared the crew. That is discipline. That is true power." Everyone asked the same questions. Who are these humans? What are they? The answers came in data files. The galaxy learned about Earth. They learned about the high gravity. They learned about the diseases and the predators. They learned about 10,000 years of constant human warfare. They learned that humans built technology not for comfort, but for survival. Fear spread across the stars, but respect spread with it. The smart species understood the lesson quickly. Humans are dangerous. Do not make them angry. Offer them peace and they will be friends. Attack them and you will lose. Scene 3, Captain's log. Captain Minu Park sat alone in his quarters. The room was small and simple. A picture of his family sat on his desk. Outside his window, the stars drifted by peacefully. The ship was quiet now. The alarms were off. The weapons were cold. He opened his computer to write his report. It was the most important report of his life. He addressed it to Earth Command. He wrote clearly. He used professional words. He described the arrival of the Vorath fleet. Detailed the threats they made. He explained why he allowed the scan. He reported the warning shot from the alien captain. Then he described the engagement. 15 enemy ships disabled. 0 human casualties. 0 alien casualties. The mission was a complete success. Minu paused. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He thought about the encounter. They had come to this sector to explore. They came to map stars and find new worlds. They came to represent humanity. They did not come to fight. He hated war. He had seen enough war in history books. But they were ready. That was the key. They did not want to fight, but they prepared for one every single day. That was the difference between humans and the Vorath. The Vorath thought war was a game for glory. Humans knew war was a tool for survival. He started typing again. He wanted Earth Command to understand his decision. "Readiness is not aggression," he wrote. "Preparation is not provocation. The ability to fight gives us a choice. Because we are strong, we can choose not to kill. If we were weak, we would have died today. If we were cruel, they would have died today." He finished his report with a final thought. "We prepare for war so we can have peace. We train for violence so we can offer mercy. We build warships so we never have to use them." Minu saved the file. He pressed send. The message flew across the vast distance of space, back to the blue planet they called home. Scene 4, Crew Reflections. The mess hall smelled of hot food and coffee. It was a comforting smell after the stress of the day. The senior officers sat together at a metal table. Hyejin Song, Tiang Kim, Soohyun Choi, and Jiwon Yoon ate their meals slowly. They spoke quietly. The adrenaline was gone, leaving them tired and thoughtful. Jiwon stared at his food. "I was scared," the pilot admitted. "When I saw 15 ships coming at us, I thought we would have to kill them. I thought we would have to destroy them all." Hyejin shook her head firmly. "No," the tactical officer said. "Captain Park would never order that, not unless he had absolutely no choice. We have rules of engagement." Tiang took a sip of water. "It was the right thing to do," the science officer said. "We showed them what we are. We are not monsters. We are not mindless killers. We are just prepared." Soohyun smiled a little. "Did you see them run?" the engineer asked. "They ran away so fast. Maybe they will tell others. Maybe the next fleet will not attack us." Captain Minu walked into the mess hall. The room went quiet, but he waved his hand. "At ease," he said. He brought his tray to their table and sat down. He looked at his officers with pride. "You all did well today," Minu told them. His voice was warm. "It is easy to pull a trigger. It is easy to destroy. It is hard to be precise. It is hard to show mercy when someone is shooting at you. We defended ourselves without becoming murderers. That is strength." The crew nodded. They understood. They were warriors born from a death world. Fighting was in their blood, but they chose peace. That made them human. Scene 5, the Vorath become advocates. 3 months passed. The galaxy changed. The Vorath Empire sent new representatives to the great galactic councils. Commander Zar stood before many different species. He was not there to conquer. He was there to warn. He spoke to the assembly. Do not threaten the humans, Zar said. His voice was serious. Do not attack them. Do not scan their ships without asking. And if they offer you peace, take it. He showed the battle recordings again and again. Other species watched and listened. They saw the power of the human ship. They understood the warning. The Vorath, once proud conquerors, became the biggest advocates for humanity. They explained the truth to anyone who would listen. These are apex predators who choose civilization, Zar explained. They are dangerous, not because they are evil. They are dangerous because they are so good at war that they do not need to prove it to anyone. Scene 6. New galactic order diplomatic channels opened up. Messages arrived at Earth from all over the galaxy. Species contacted humanity with trade offers. They sent peace treaties. They asked for cultural exchanges. The galaxy was different now. Humans were feared, yes, but they were also deeply respected. The lesson spread to every corner of space. The strong can choose mercy. It is safe to be friends with humanity, but it is suicide to be their enemy. If you offer peace, they will accept it, and they will keep it. Scene 7, ending on the bridge of the human warship, Captain Minyu Park stood tall. He looked out at the endless sea of stars. Behind him, his crew worked quietly and efficiently. The ship hummed with power. They continued their patrol. They explored new worlds. They represented humanity in the dark. The galaxy knew them now. It knew what they were. They were Death World survivors. They were persistence predators. They were warriors, but they were also diplomats. They were explorers. They were peacekeepers. Minyu smiled slightly. The message was clear across the galaxy. Humanity is dangerous, not because they love war. Humanity is dangerous because they are so good at war that they can choose peace, and that makes them the most dangerous species of all.